Bitcoin daily chart bouncing like crazy, approaching $70,000. It's an exciting chart. I want to break down targets to the upside, what a breakout might look like in the short term. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's just jump into the video. And before we dive into the charts, a couple things I want to go over. So far today, and there's much of the day left, U.S. inflation falls to 3.3%. This is obviously playing into the charts a little bit. We also have this in store. FOMC meeting is today. The chart shows Bitcoin's price action in the last 3 FOMC meetings. Check this out. Look at the last 3 meetings, January, March, May. Is June going to deliver the same result? Either way, we're going to break down the charts and look at what a new all-time high might look like if this plays out. Either way, I really am anticipating some volatility, and I think that's a good idea to do that because there's a lot of resistance where Bitcoin is right now. So let's see how this starts playing out as of today. This meeting coming up hours away, I believe, a couple hours away as I'm doing this video. Before we dive into the zoomed in charts, there's other things going on. ETF world, right? Alt season narrative that is in play. The general crypto cycle is playing out really nice right now. But we have things like this. I posted this last night. President Trump, the leading presidential candidate, is talking about Bitcoin mining as last line of defense against a CBDC. So we have the leading presidential candidate talking about Bitcoin mining and truly just a pro-crypto guy at this point. Things like this, whether you believe it or not, things like this absolutely, I think, play into what is going on here on the zoomed out, on this long-term upward trajectory that we've been tracking for years now on this YouTube channel, almost 7 years. The fact that things like this are starting to happen, there is a massive pendulum swing it's just happening right now in front of our eyes. And I really think we're kind of entering this new era of crypto. And that's why I say oftentimes we're just at the beginning. So let's talk about the technicals, what's going on. This is another awesome data point from Tech Dev over here. He's bringing all of these different perspectives from data that I don't typically cover, but it really plays into kind of my anticipation for timeline in these cycles. And this is why I really enjoy this content. You've been here before, 42 months after the start of an already ended long compression. Wait until you see this compression. Hovering at the prior high, pressed against the top band. Bandwidth squeezed and bounced. Expansion has just begun. Next leg poised to accelerate. So here's where things get interesting. He has this compression phase in red and expansion phase in green. This first one on the left, if you notice, was from cycles ago, right? We're talking about the compression phase like 2014, 15 into 16. This expansion, this last expansion phase, 2017 bull market. I like that just because we've been just seeing so many different, from just charting perspective, so many different similarities this cycle compared to what's happening back here as opposed to last cycle, right? And there's some similarities to last cycle, but just a lot in terms of the 2017 move. So if you look at this, and this is where things become ultra bullish when we start talking about, man, maybe we're getting a super cycle of some sort. If you look at this compression phase that he has here, most recently in red, look at this. This area right here was basically the last bull market all-time high. So we're talking about Bitcoin and crypto was entering this compression in this general area, and now we're in that general area again, but this time we are actually entering this expansion phase. And so this also just plays into, there's so much upside for crypto markets right now as far as this cycle goes. And then we look at things like, one piece of data that we most recently talked about was this 20-week crossing above the 50-week, right? And every time this happens, in the last cycle, for instance, there was 882 days basically from that move to the all-time high. And then the cycle before that, there was 784 days and 511 days. And right now, the average of that is around 725 days from this move. So there is a ton of room And if it's going to be a super cycle, 900 some days, right? There's kind of this progression of longer days each time. If it's 900 some days, we have so much room for upside. So that's that. Now let's dig into the charts and talk about short-term targets for Bitcoin, because I know that's probably what a lot of you are watching. Now, I saw this post. FOMC and CPI today, and BTC is about to complete a perfect inverse head and shoulders pattern. So we've been talking about this inverse head and shoulders, and I think multiple on this screen, but we're going to talk about the one he's talking about. What I didn't notice was actually how the formation of the left shoulder, the head, and the potential right shoulder plays directly into the FOMC meetings that are happening right now. He says a giga candle is inevitable, in my opinion. I'm glad he put in my opinion. I think there's such a massive upside right now on the Bitcoin daily chart, but I always like to just kind of bring humility into the charts, because we could just see absolute rejection at this area, right? And just everybody's anticipating a breakout. We might just actually fall, right? And so I'm optimistically bullish right now, but I've been in this space, been tracking these charts for far too long to just expect a breakout at this inverse head and shoulders. But let's talk about the inverse head and shoulders. Here's the left shoulder. There's the head. Here's the right shoulder in formation. If we actually just we can get this pattern overlay and just put in that left shoulder, basically right around there, head, got right shoulder. The right shoulder isn't complete yet, right? It hasn't really broken this general trend line, this neckline. But if we're looking at the head and shoulders target, inverse head and shoulders target, we're looking at about a $90,000 target. And so that's insanely bullish. But then if we zoom out on the chart, a couple of things I want to point out, and we've been talking a lot about it. I think number one, what we should point out is the length of time Bitcoin has been consolidating from this swing high. This is back in March. So if we're looking at it, we're talking about 3 months. There's been 3 months of consolidation, meaning where Bitcoin is right now, price-wise, is basically where it was 3 months ago. And along that journey, there's been tons of consolidations and choppiness and a really big dip into the 50s, the 50,000s. So if it is going to break out, right now is a magnificent time for a breakout, and it would make sense. But the other thing is, we have the inverse head and shoulders target around 90,000. We have this other target, which is this rising wedge that we've been tracking. Breakout February, just such a nice throwback to the apex. And now if there's going to be continuation, and if this inverse head and shoulders gets a breakout to the upside, we have this target up here around $77,000, or I'm sorry, it's around $80,000. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because that range is kind of, I think, important to me. And what I mean by that is all-time high range, which is essentially the neckline of this inverse head and shoulders. Like if here's the inverse head and shoulders, right? Breakout target 90,000. But that range of the neckline to the rising wedge target, so around 80,000. So we're looking at like $74,000 to $80,000. That is a very interesting area if Bitcoin approaches that. Because number one, I'd first anticipate resistance, maybe consolidation, maybe some type of new structure on the shorter term being put into effect. But beyond that, it's kind of like if Bitcoin is able to break through and above that area, that is really the zone and the area where Bitcoin and I think crypto markets are just going to take it next level of this bull market. This next level of price discovery for Bitcoin. And from there is so much in play in terms of what could happen next for crypto. So I think that range right now in the shorter term, if Bitcoin can make the breakout, is a really key range I'll be watching for. So that's $80,000 to $74,000. That's pretty much a target area for Bitcoin for me right now. Obviously, we have our other inverse head and shoulders target, but just because we have this inverse head and shoulders 3 months long of formation, if it happens, does not mean Bitcoin's going straight to the target. There could be a lot of choppiness, rejection back to the neckline before we get there. I mean, we might not get there till August. So slow and steady. It's all about patience. It's also all about, for me, and this is all this is, me tracking the data from my perspective and tracking my own crypto journey. But again, big resistance area. There could be a huge fake out. I know a lot of people are bullish. I'm bullish. But it will be very interesting to see if Bitcoin can break this resistance area, this neckline area, because if not, there might be rejection and we might be consolidating even more. So that's what I'm watching on the short term. Will be interesting to see how this meeting plays out today and how crypto markets react to it. But we'll continue tracking it. So please make sure to hit the subscribe, hit that like, and turn notifications on. I appreciate all of your support. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.